If you want to play better golf, hit more greens and shoot lower scores, you need to do this to your club face with the short irons. Hi everyone, my name's James Robinson. Welcome back to Get Good at Golf. Today we're talking about short irons, and I see so many people who hit golf shots. We've hit a nice drive down the middle, we've got 100 yards in, and the club I've chosen is actually a club where I know, because I've been to see my pro, I've had these wedges fitted. 100 shot for me is a 50 degree. For you it might be a 54, it might be a 60, it might even be a pitching wedge, but I'm just going to go nice and full at this because I like to play full shots. The flag's on the left, I'm going to aim at the flag because that's obviously what you do when you've hit a nice drive down the middle of the fairway, and I'm thinking birdie. That is all I'm thinking. This is a green light flag all day. I've struck that really well. I'll take the positives. That's bouncing. That's gone in the deep rough. We might be making double bogey from here, and I feel really silly because I've smashed the best drive of the day, but I've struck it really well, and that's all I'm going to say to my playing partners. Guys, I struck that so well, I can't believe it. Look at the divot here, the ball was in the perfect position here, and I've transferred my weight properly, and I've got through the ball, I've had a descending blow, I've watched all the videos with the T-peg, I've not looked at the ball, I've started with my driver behind me, but I've done it wrong with my wedge. What can I do to make sure that doesn't happen? Because this is something which so many golfers do, and we need to make sure that club face stays squarer for longer. Now, what does that mean? Because so many people will get that misconstrued, they won't understand it quite properly, and a couple of golf pros don't understand it properly, to be honest, as well. So I've seen people where they say, right, let's keep that club face square. Chris, that's square, isn't it?
I don't think so.
It's square to the ball.
Square to the ball and square to the line, but not square to the arc.
Exactly. So what I want to do is keep this club face square to the arc of the body. So actually, when I take the club away here, that club face is going to rotate with the body. That's square to the arc, that's square to the arc. And actually, when the club is parallel to the ground here, if it's square to the arc, what is it going to be parallel to?
Spine angle.
Chris knows. We haven't even discussed this either, but if you know what you're talking about, guys, if your golf pro knows what he's talking about, make sure in your lesson you talk about that club face. Make sure you talk about where the club face is. Make sure you talk about how it's working together with the body. You're not just setting it with the hands. The problem with hitting a full wedge shot here, so many people whip the club face open, get a nice position at the top. From here, it is a total mystery as to how you are going to square that club face up. You might do it 9 times out of 10, some people might do it 3 times out of 10, but the massive issue is on the way down, we get back in this position. So if my club face is wide open here, there's no way I can now square that up with my chest. I have to flip the hands, I have to rotate the hands. I can still get a good strike, I can still hit this a long way, but the problem is I'm not squaring that club face up at impact. Chris has got a fantastic drill for us for this, guys, so make sure you do stay tuned. Also, hit that subscribe button, guys. We are desperate to get to 50,000 subscribers, and we'd love you to be a part of it. I've gone high there, Chris, I know, but it's good tips and it's worth knowing. So if I actually play a shot that's a little bit of a shorter golf swing, I'm going to take this club away, make sure it's nice and square to my posture. As I set the club up, it's still nice and square, and if I were to go all the way to the top, it's still square to my arc, or still square to my body. So when I come down, that club face is in a nice position here. It's not wide open. I've actually got a little bit of kind of bowing in the left wrist here, so I can control that club through the turf on the way down. So if I then aim for the flag, there's nothing wrong with aiming for flags if you've hit a good drive. If you've got a wedge in, just make sure you don't short side yourself. The massive problem with what I've shown you there is if I do let that club flip over, if I do let that club flip over, there's 2 bunkers on the left. I've actually flown them because I can't control the dynamic loft either when I don't have that club face nice and square to the arc. So that's another thing that you are getting. Put that in your pocket, guys, put your wallet away. That is for free on this channel. But the big thing is, if I can control that club face and that loft, I can hit much more compressed shots, much more on target. I've got exactly the same strike, so I don't need to worry about that. That ball's gone to about 15 feet, so that's a round tour average for this distance, maybe even inside it. Guys, Chris is now going to give us a fantastic drill for this. If you do like these videos, if you do appreciate free golf tips, make sure to throw a like on this video, subscribe here to Get Good at Golf. Chris, hit them with it.
So great points there as always from James, and fantastic camera work. So guys, don't forget, if you are looking for in-person lessons or online lessons, then do drop us an email on that one below if you want to get yourself good at golf. But the points that James made there are obviously from here, if we start to hit more greens, we are going to lower your scores. Even anywhere on the green is better than being in the bunker. As we know, strokes gained wise, you're going to take more shots from a bunker than you are if you are on the green. But one thing you also want to do, unlike James's face at the start of this video, is make sure we've got nice, clean and dry grooves. Obviously it is raining out here, it's gone polar opposite. It was 30 degrees yesterday, it is now raining, so luckily I had a waterproof jacket in the car. But we need to make sure you've got a dry club face, so that's going to affect obviously how the ball launches. It's also going to affect obviously then the distance. It's also going to affect the spin on the green, so you need to make sure you're choosing the correct club if it is a little bit wet out here and you're in those kinds of conditions. Hopefully you are not for the next 4 months here in the UK.
Moisture reducer spin for people who don't know.
There we go, James is here all week.
I had that in my head, I had to say that.
So, I know it was like a brain fart. Right, so once we're out here and we're trying to hit greens, one thing that the tour pros do that most amateurs don't when you come for lessons, if I said to you how far, 100 yards, what club do you use, you would be exactly like James. Well, I went to see my pro and a full 52 flushed out of the middle goes bang on 100. Yeah, but then does it spin back? Does it run out? What kind of spin numbers are you getting? What we'll see from the pros is, yes, they will have a club that goes that, maybe a full 54, goes 100 yards for a touring professional. But what they're going to hit probably 9 times out of 10 is maybe the 52 and use a 3/4 shot. So when James talks about squaring the club face up, if you think if I'm going at a slower speed, I've got more control of this club face, I can come down nicely and get this square to that shot. Once we add speed into that, I could come back and it could be open, and that's what we see a lot. Weak and high shots because you're trying to hit it full, you're trying to put a lot of speed into it. Once we add a speed, we lose consistency with club face, and you'll know that with your driver. How many people hit the driver offline? Yes, it is the club. We all try to wallop and hit as far as we can, and that's why we may be not as consistent with our driver. But when we come to wedges, we can start to control them in a little bit more. So especially from here, but even all the way back to your scoring irons, which I like to say is from probably 150 yards in, let's start to work on your 3/4 numbers. Which shots can we control in? I've got a pitching wedge here, so James hit his gap wedge. I'm going to hit a pitching wedge. I'm going to narrow my stance a little bit. Once I narrow my stance, so this is for all 3/4 shots, that's going to take a little bit of speed off because we can't swing as fast. I can only go at a certain speed, otherwise I'm going to lose my balance. So I'm a little bit narrower than standard. Again, the ball position just back of centre, so that's going to help me take a little bit of loft and flight it a little bit lower. As a result of it being back, we're going to open our stance a little bit, because if it's back, we know that path will be working ever so slightly to the right. It has not got square to its arc yet. So a little bit back in the stance, a little bit open, and then from there I'm just going to think of a 3/4 swing, and I can get this flighting in, and if I can do that, I can control the start line a little bit better because I can control the face, and I can hit shots a little bit more direct. You'll see there a nice and easy swing there, in balance, a 3/4 backswing, a 3/4 finish, and as James zooms in there, you'll see that it's gone probably around about tour average, 15.
Closer than mine.
Well, we can't see yours. Yours is behind the bunker, so you never know. Don't put yourself down, James. So you can see there, nice and controlled, a nice square divot, a little divot. I've not took a massive crater. I've been able to then get my low point correct and start to get that ball launching at my target. And that's the main thing. If we can get you to launch the ball better on target with a slower, smoother swing, if we can get your distance more consistently, we're going to help you lower your scores, and we're going to help you get good at golf.